There's something inside you that wants to change. You can feel it. It wants to grow. It wants to evolve. It wants to finally stop living in circles, repeating the same patterns, hitting the same invisible wall. But no matter how much you try, with goals, with motivation, with willpower, nothing truly shifts. Why? Because your conscious mind is not in control. It never was. Florence Scovel Shinn understood something most people still don't. Your subconscious is the one creating your reality, not your thoughts, not your desires, but the emotional patterns deeply engraved beneath your awareness. If your subconscious is wired for lack, you will reject abundance. If it's wired for fear, you will sabotage peace. If it's wired for unworthiness, you will quietly destroy every blessing you try to receive. And here's the truth. No dream, no vision, no external force can override a subconscious that isn't ready. You don't need more effort. You need a deeper shift. Florence didn't teach manifestation as some magical quick fix. She taught it as a disciplined reprogramming of the mind, one that begins with awareness and ends with transformation. In this video, I'll show you 3 powerful ways to reprogram your subconscious using the timeless principles that Florence Scovel Shinn taught almost a century ago. Not just ideas, but tools. Not just beliefs, but commands that reshape your inner world. Because once the subconscious changes, everything else aligns. Not instantly, not by chance, but with precision and purpose. Let's begin with the first shift. And remember, you are not here to survive your mind. You are here to master it. Your subconscious mind is like the soil. Whatever you plant there, with repetition, with emotion, with belief, will grow. It doesn't argue. It doesn't analyze. It simply accepts. Florence Scovel Shinn didn't just speak about positive thinking. She went deeper. She said, the subconscious is simply power without direction. It is like steam or electricity, and it does what it is directed to do. And most people, they are directing it with fear, with doubt, with old patterns from childhood they've never questioned. That's why they keep attracting the same situations, the same kind of relationships, the same struggles with money, with health, with self-worth, because their subconscious is already programmed. And unless you reprogram it, it will run the same script forever. And the subconscious does not respond to logic. It responds to feeling, to impression, to emotion charged with repetition. This is where most people fail. They try to change their lives by thinking harder, by forcing discipline, by trying to control everything from the outside. But nothing changes until you change the mental movie playing behind the scenes. That inner reality, the one you don't say out loud, but that you feel in the quiet moments. That's the one manifesting your results. Florence knew this. She saw people trying to fix their lives, but still using words of fear, imagining outcomes full of doubt, reacting as if nothing would work. She taught that you don't manifest what you want. You manifest what you're aligned with. And alignment starts with the subconscious. So now the question becomes, how do you reprogram it? Not just temporarily. Not just for a day or a week, but in a way that creates lasting transformation? That's exactly what you're about to learn. Let's begin with the first powerful way Florence used to rewrite the subconscious blueprint and change the trajectory of a person's life from the inside out. First, the power of the spoken word. Florence Scovel Shinn taught one of the simplest and most underestimated tools for reprogramming the subconscious, the spoken word. She said, "Your word is your wand. What you speak with conviction and repetition becomes the command. Your subconscious follows." But most people speak carelessly. They speak fear. They speak doubt. They speak limitation, as if it's just being realistic. They say things like, "I'm so tired of trying. Nothing ever works for me. I can't afford that. I always mess things up." And the subconscious, which has no filter, no opinion, no judgment, simply responds, "Okay, as you wish, you are affirming all the time. The question is, what are you affirming?" Florence understood that words don't just describe your reality. They create it, especially when spoken with feeling. She recommended speaking affirmations not once, not twice, but daily, until they became natural, until they overpowered the old voice of fear, and not weak affirmations, not wishful thinking, but strong, declarative phrases like, "I now let go of worry. I am guided, protected, and provided for. I do not resist. I radiate confidence, and I receive exactly what I need." This is not about pretending. It's about planting a new seed so that eventually the old weeds of doubt no longer grow. Your words are energetic blueprints. When you speak with clarity and intention, your subconscious reorganizes your inner state to match them. The key is repetition and presence. Say your affirmation out loud, with breath, with stillness, and with focus. Not while scrolling your phone, not while rushing, but with reverence. Speak it into the space around you as if you were casting a spell, because in a way, you are. You're breaking the old loop. You're introducing a new reality. And you're commanding your subconscious to follow, because it always does, whether you're aware of it or not. Second, visualizing with emotion, not just images. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that visualization is not about fantasy, it's about emotional alignment. Most people imagine what they want, but they feel the opposite. They want freedom, but they feel trapped. They want abundance, but they feel doubt. They want love, but they feel unworthy. And the subconscious doesn't respond to what you think. It responds to what you feel. Florence wrote, "You cannot always control your thoughts, but you can control your words. And words produce images in the mind. Eventually, the subconscious accepts them." Now imagine this. You stand in front of a mirror. You look at yourself not as you are, but as you want to become. Not from ego, not from desperation, but from a quiet knowing. You say, "I am safe. I am guided. I am strong." And as you speak, you feel the shift. Not outside, but inside. Or picture this. You walk through your home, calm and grateful. The air smells clean. The light is soft. You're at peace. Not because the world has changed, but because you changed your state. That's the level where reprogramming happens. It's not about closing your eyes and visualizing a mansion. It's about teaching your body and your nervous system how it feels to already be in the state you desire. Jim Carrey once said that he wrote himself a check for $10 million, visualized it every day, and years later he received exactly that amount for a movie role. Lady Gaga said she used to walk around saying out loud, "I'm famous. I'm a star," long before anyone knew her name. They weren't wishing. They were rehearsing. They were training the subconscious to feel what would one day be real. And you can do the same. Speak it. See it. Feel it. Because once your subconscious accepts it as familiar, your reality has no choice but to catch up. Third, the power of silence and inner listening. In a world that never stops talking, silence has become a rare and sacred act. Florence knew this. She taught that the most powerful reprogramming doesn't always come from action. It comes from alignment. And alignment begins in silence. She said, "Be still and know that I am God. Nothing is too good to be true. Nothing is too wonderful to happen. Nothing is too good to last." These were not just poetic affirmations. They were mental resets. They invited a shift from panic to presence, from doubt to knowing. You don't need more noise to change your life. You need stillness, long enough to hear the voice beneath the fear. Because that voice, the one most people ignore, is the direct line to your subconscious. Every time you sit in silence, without distraction, without your phone, without reacting, you are training your system to be present. And presence is where the reprogramming begins. Your subconscious doesn't change when you're rushing. It changes when you're still enough to feel a new reality. Try this. Before you speak an affirmation, before you visualize, take a moment. Close your eyes. Place your hand on your heart. Breathe. Let the silence create space for something new to land. This is where Florence's teachings merge with what modern science confirms. When you enter a calm, focused state, your brainwaves shift. Your subconscious becomes more open, more receptive, more programmable. And in that silence, you're no longer begging for change. You're becoming the change. Some of the most influential people in the world speak of this. Oprah Winfrey calls silence her greatest teacher. She says, "Stillness is where the answers come. So take the time, not because it's comfortable, but because it works." In silence, you don't chase your power, you remember it. You don't have to keep repeating the same story. You don't have to keep battling yourself. You don't have to live another year stuck in the same patterns. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that transformation doesn't begin on the outside. It begins in the hidden chambers of the mind, in the words you speak, in the images you hold, in the silence you allow. Your subconscious is not your enemy. It's not broken. It's simply following the instructions it was given, by your past, by your environment, by the voices you didn't even realize you were listening to. But now, you get to choose new instructions. You get to choose deliberate words. You get to choose intentional emotions. You get to create space for a new blueprint. Don't expect overnight miracles. Expect inner mastery. Expect gradual power returning to where it always belonged, within you. The moment you speak with clarity, visualize with feeling, and sit with yourself in silence, something shifts. Not always in the world around you, but always in the world within you. And when the inner world changes, the outer world has no choice but to reflect it. So today, choose one thing, one phrase to repeat, one moment of quiet, one image that matches the life you truly want. Start there, because that's where it always starts, with a quiet decision that no one sees, but that changes everything. If this message spoke to you, I want you to write one thing in the comments. I reprogram my subconscious with clarity, emotion, and silence. Say it, type it, claim it. And if you want to keep receiving messages like this, subscribe to the channel. There's more truth to remember, and we're just getting started.